Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to our game dissection series where we choose a game and dissect it to understand how does it work behind the scene. In this video, we are going to dissect a multiplayer game known as Call of Duty Mobile. The rating of this game is really amazing and it's one of my personal favorite game. If you haven't played this game yet, do check the game out. The link will be in the description below. So before we dissect this game, let's talk about this game a little bit further. One of the major attraction of this game is their player control system, which is very smooth and responsive in terms of gameplay. Then we have this amazing background music and of course a good mechanics for weapon and character customization. So before we move further, let me remind you to subscribe the channel for more amazing content on video games. So here we are with a game. So you see a character that is standing on the middle of the screen, and then you see this amazing background. So if I talk about this background, you have multiple ways to create this background. One of them is to use a parallax effect where you use multiple images to make it more realistic. And another way to create this environment is to actually use the 3D environment or the 3D models and arrange them in a pattern. And one more thing here to remember, so the environment that you see here are not complete. So basically what I mean by that, the 3D models that you see are just the front. But the best way to create this environment or this background is to use the combination of images and 3D model to make it more realistic. Another thing that we see here is the smoke effect. So it's basically a simple particle system. So before we move further, let me tell you, creating this type of game is a little complex. When I say complex, I mean there would be a lot of code and you need to handle that much of code with ease. So generally the strategy that I use to create a multiplayer game is known as feature outlining system. Let me show you how does it work. So this is the feature outlining system that I'm working on, and it's basically for some other game, but it will work on this game as well. So the system works this way. You pick a game and divide that game into multiple features, and you pick each feature separately and branch sub features from that features out, and you start working on those sub features to build that complete feature, and you keep building the features to complete the game. So this is how generally it works. So let's see what will happen if we divide a game into features. So the first feature that you see is a loading screen. So loading screen is basically for loading purposes. Then the second feature would be a main menu, which will be branched out into multiple features. That is menu system, which will be controlling each and every part of the menu, and we have a 3D background. Then the third feature will be our environment, which will be divided into interactable items, the items that we are going to interact with, like boxes or cars. And then we have non-interactable items such as environment, a static environment. Then the fourth feature is the player himself, and the player will be having multiple features such as movement, where he will be moving around the map. Then he will be attacking and defending at the same time. Then he will be interacting with other objects or the environment. Another feature is enemy, which is basically won't fit in this scenario for now. Let's cut it out. Okay, after enemy we have this feature called NPC. So NPC is basically non-playable characters. Then we have this HUD feature. Basically HUD is heads up display, where we can see health, mission objectives, weapons, backpack items. Then we can see map as well on it, and we see on-screen messages. After that we have our inventory system, which we will be using to control our entire inventory or to choose slots to put item in it. Then we have this weapon system feature. Basically it will be responsible to control everything that is related to weapons, such as recoil, firing rate, damage, etc. Then we have this objective or quest system. So basically objective system is, let's say you kill 10 enemies and you gain this particular superpower. So that will be our objective system. Then we have this skill system. Similar to objective system, you kill particular amount of enemy, or let's say you walk particular miles on the map, your skill will get upgraded. Then we have this forging system, where you take a weapon, you combine multiple weapons to create a new weapon. Or if I talk about a current game scenario, the forging system will be responsible for upgrading the weapon. Then we have a map, which will basically display position of each player on the map. Then we have a effects, which includes post processing effect and particle system. So this sums up our entire feature outlining system. Let's switch back to the game. And one more thing to keep in mind is that in a multiplayer game, the major role is played by the networking system. Let's just play the video and move towards a match. There you go. So let's pause it here. So here you can see you have a weapon, then you have this complete inventory, or you can say this backpack of yours. Then we have this map which is showing the current position of the player. So there are multiple ways to show position of the player, but the way I do is by taking the real position of the player and mapping it onto this 2D image. Then we have these buttons for firing or shooting. So basically this is the player system in action, where player is moving and firing shots. So the player is moving here and there, jumping around the map, looking for the enemies. And this again is the notification system. Let's just pause here. So here we have an NPC who is shooting us, and basically you're raycasting and checking whether there's someone in front of your gun, and if it is, then you fire a shot or you give the damage. So this is our complete game, but the major thing to know here is how the system works. So the system works this way. You press a button for the player. Now you have multiple ways to do it. One way is to press a button and perform the command on the local player and then send the command to the server. And another way to do is to send your command directly towards the server, and in turn the server will send the command back to each and every client, and you will perform that action. You can use any of the ways to achieve that thing, or you can combine both of them to get your desired result. Then we have this kill cam functionality. Now how will you go about it? So every second you are actually recording the frames on the local system or on the local machine, and as soon as the player dies, you will send the last few second recording to the server, and the server will send it back to other players or the other clients that are currently watching the game. So this is the actual implementation of the kill cam, where someone killed an opponent and the video is distributed among the clients. So I think this sums up our quick video on this game dissection. If you're still here, do like and subscribe the channel for more amazing content.